My beloved child, I say to you, do not turn me into a machine for producing miracles. Do not treat me as a key to open the vault of riches, for when your heart fixes its gaze only on blessing, you will no longer see the face of the one who blesses. I am not the echo of passing dreams, but the one who leads your soul back to the straight path, even if you must walk through the darkness of your own heart. If you are willing to pause and listen, you will realize that what I long to restore is not merely your wallet or the doors of opportunity, but your heart whose colors are fading. But seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things will be added to you as well. Matthew 6:3-3. People often imagine that they draw near to the Lord because they love Him. But in reality, many come only out of a longing for a quick change of life. I see your weariness. I understand the despair carved deep into your heart. Yet I also see clearly the greatest danger you are seeking, me only to claim your portion of blessing. You do not realize that, when a soul bows down only for what it wants to receive, it unwittingly turns its back on the very hand that longs to heal it. I never reject your needs, but neither will I allow you to live like an addict chasing a spiritual dose just to temporarily forget the emptiness within. These people draw near to me with their mouths and honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. Isaiah 2:9-1-3. Many promises of prosperity today are proclaimed like items on sale, pleasing to hear, posset, exciting to read. Yet they cause many souls to lose their way. The more you chase after the question, what will God give me? The farther you drift from the far more important question, who does God want me to become? I did not create you so that you would live with your hand outstretched forever, but so that you would rise, stand firm, and be strong in the very grace I have already placed within you. True blessing does not lie in a thick wallet or sensational miracles, but in your willingness to listen, to obey, and to return to the truth. And when the message is distorted, faith is bent out of shape with it. You begin to think that God must operate according to your expectations, that prosperity is the measure of grace, that miracles are the proof of my love. But my child, my love was proven at the cross, not in the moments you feel lucky. I did not come to serve your passing desires, but to set your soul free from the slavery of ambition, fear, and the emptiness this world can never fill. From this point on, you must examine yourself. Is your faith clinging to me as Lord, or only to the image of blessing you have imagined? There are souls who, at the very mention of blessing, have eyes that light up and hearts that leap, not because they love the one who speaks, but because they love what they hope to receive. People are easily drawn into promises of financial turnaround, debts being loosed, doors of opportunity flung open, houses added to them, yet they do not realize that their souls have not moved one step closer to me. I see the way you instinctively run toward the results I can give, rather than to me myself. You search for financial stability, for new relationships, for an instant sense of peace, and you even treat videos, numbers, and declarations as a kind of spiritual good luck charm. But my child, I am not an amulet for you to rub in order to soothe your fears. I am the living God, calling you into a real relationship where you listen, surrender, and walk with me in sincerity. When your mind revolves only around the question, what will God give me? You lose sight of the far more important question. What is it that I am longing to heal in your heart? A faith that focuses more on blessing than on the one who blesses may sound spiritual, but in truth it is a road that leads to barrenness. It causes you to live like a consumer of grace rather than a companion of the Lord. The more you lean on pleasant feelings, the farther you drift from my gentle yet piercing voice, the voice that longs to shape, purify, and lead you into spiritual maturity. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Matthew 6:21. I see how easily your heart tilts toward the glittering things of this life, rather than toward my voice itself. When a promise of prosperity is mentioned, your heart at once thrills as though that were the very breath of the spiritual life. But my child, blessing is not where I dwell, it is only the trace left behind when I pass through your life. If you seek only those footprints without seeking me, you will lose yourself among the countless attractive things of this world. Remember that I once said in John 6:26 that many followed me, not because they saw the true signs, but because they had eaten the loaves and were filled, and I am still asking you that same question today. Do you follow me because I am your Lord, or because you hope I will satisfy your passing desires? There are moments when I see you lifting your hopes higher than your reverence for me. You run to me, not to listen but to demand, not to surrender, but to seek confirmation of what you want to have. I do not rebuke you for having dreams. I understand the needs within your heart, but I grieve for you when I see you treating me only as a key to open a treasure chest. When you do that, your soul grows barren without you even noticing. And then one day, when the blessing does not arrive according to your timetable, you ask, Lord, where are you, even though I have never left you? It is your heart that is no longer with me. Return to me before you lose the spiritual sensitivity I planted in you from the beginning. Do you know this? A faith built on miracles is a faith that is always hungry, because it lives only on sensational moments and cannot stand on quiet days. I did not form you so that you would be dependent on emotional highs or the goosebumps you feel when you hear a prayer. A mature faith must be able to stand even when my words seem muted. For my silence is not my absence, but an invitation to go deeper into me. Examine your heart. Are you truly loving me? Or merely the feeling of being rewarded by me every time you let your emotions lead instead of the truth? You place your soul in a precarious place. I want you to understand this so that you can step into true freedom, the kind of freedom that is not controlled by blessing or by lack. Many treat numbers, signs, or prayer videos as a kind of mystical sign, as if merely touching them would cause blessing to pour out instantly. But I do not dwell in such things. I dwell in the heart that seeks truth, that walks in humility, that dares to face itself. I have never told you to use faith as a formula, nor do I desire that you see me as a system that operates automatically. Faith is not your way of pressuring me to do your will, but your way of stepping into my correction so that you might become more like me. When you use faith as a charm, you unintentionally reduce me to a tool while you place yourself in the position of the one in control. My child, I do not want you to walk that road, for it leads to an emptiness and disappointment you cannot imagine. Let me say this softly, yet sharp as a two-edged sword, when you continually ask, "What will the Lord give me?" You are shrinking me down to the size of your own understanding. But when you ask, "What does the Lord want to teach me?" you open the door to maturity. Every word I speak has the purpose of shaping you, not indulging you. I do not desire that your soul remain weak, living off temporary blessings while forgetting the eternal purpose I have placed upon you. As in Psalm 3:7-4, I declare, delight yourself in the Lord, and I will give you the desires of your heart, not so that you may use me as a magic wand, but so that you may understand that when your heart is set in the right place, your desires will be renewed according to my will. When that happens, blessing is no longer merely what you receive, but what you carry to illuminate your own life. I know there are times when you are weary, and in your weariness, you easily cling to whatever sounds like a marvelous promise: more wealth, quicker success, a rapid turnaround in life. I do not blame you for longing for change, but I want to remind you of this: no miracle is deeper than the miracle that takes place within the soul. When I heal your heart from ambition, from fear, from dependence on success, That is the true miracle. Material blessings never last if they are not founded on a heart that can discern what is real from what is merely an echo of the world. Allow me to work the miracle in your heart first, and you will see the other things in your life fall into place in a new order. Your faith cannot stand firm if it seeks only the light of success, even if everything you ask for turns out well. If your heart is not turned toward me, those things will never be enough to keep you. I have seen many who were blessed yet still lost themselves. They received much, but became nothing. Do not walk that path. I want you to understand blessing like a stream of water. It is pure when it flows through you, but it becomes stagnant when you keep it only for yourself. A heart that seeks me first will never lack, because it has found the true source, and I desire that this heart be yours. You need to understand the deeper reason why distorted faith has become so widespread. People prefer the feeling of security, not in me, but in visible results. The world fears waiting, fears silence, fears facing the dark corners of its own heart. It prefers promises that sound soothing over truths that demand change. But my child, I did not come to lull you to sleep. I came to awaken you. If you go on chasing blessing while avoiding correction, you will begin to believe that I exist to serve your desires. And at that very moment, your soul will grow weak without your realizing it. I remind you of this not to condemn you, but to rescue your soul from that sweet yet dangerous distortion. When you pause and look deep into your heart, you will see fears that lie at the root of your misguided seeking: fear of lack, fear of being left behind, fear of failure, fear of not being good enough. These fears make you cling to blessing as if it were a life preserver, instead of clinging to me as your very source of life. But I want you to know this: I do not measure your worth by what you have or do not have. I call you my child, even when your hands are empty. And it is precisely in that state that you can hear me more clearly, for there is no longer the noise of ambition drowning out my voice. I am calling you back, not to take away what you hope for, but to restore to you what you truly need. True faith does not make you chase after signs and wonders. It enables you to stand firm even when no sign has yet appeared. I want to teach you to love me before the blessing, not to love the blessing first, and only then remember me. When you put me in the rightful place, everything else will gradually fall back into place. You will realize that peace does not come from the amount of money in your wallet, but from knowing you are standing in my will. Joy does not come from success, but from sensing that I am right beside you. And hope does not come from predictions, but from the presence of the one who never breaks his promise. Come closer to me with a sincere heart, and you will come to know what an unshakable blessing truly is. When you grasp this, you will find it easier to let go of shallow pursuits in order to lay hold of something deeper, a true relationship with me. That relationship is not shaken by lack, nor distorted by promises of material gain. It stands firm like a tree planted by streams of water, evergreen though seasons come and go. I want your faith to become like that, not controlled by circumstances, not reduced to a transaction, not diluted by ambition. And when you stand firm in this, you will clearly see the next step. I want to lead you into a step where you not only believe that I am at work, but also understand your own role in that journey. But that I will speak to you about later. There are moments when I look at you and see you wishing that I would turn everything around with a single word, while your own feet remain rooted to the spot. I understand the weariness that makes you want to give up. I understand the disappointment that makes you just want to sit down and hope for an instant miracle. But my child, my love does not make you passive. My love makes you strong. I did not create you to be a mere spectator of your own life, nor a child who only waits for others to sort everything out. As James 2:17 tells you, that faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead. I want you to understand that true faith always brings movement. If you only expect me to do everything, your soul will grow weak and your future will remain forever out of reach. I see you many times asking me for healing, yet unwilling to enter into the disciplines that would restore your soul and your body. You ask me to open doors, yet you do not want to take a step. You want me to set your mind free, yet you cling tightly to the thoughts that have drained you for so many years. It is not that I do not want to help, but blessing cannot blossom in a heart that refuses to be plowed. I have given you courage, but courage only grows when you rise up from your own fears. Many times you think I am late, but in truth it is you who are hesitating to do your part. Look back and see how many doors have I already opened. Yet you did not enter because you thought everything had to be laid out exactly as you wished. Many of my children love to hear the promise I will heal, yet fall silent when I say, you must forgive. You must step out of that toxic relationship. You must do what is right even when it hurts. I do not call you into a soft, fragile faith that seeks only comfort while avoiding the truth. I lead you into a mature faith, where you know that your actions are the strongest. Amen to my promises. You cannot receive deliverance if you will not cut off the things that imprison you. You cannot receive peace if your heart continues to nurture what throws your mind into turmoil night after night. I do not require you to do what is beyond your strength. I simply call you into the part for which you yourself are responsible. There is a truth, both gentle and sharp. My miracles often come when you have already taken the first step. When you begin to adjust each small habit, when you dare to face painful emotions instead of hiding them, when you choose to heed wholesome counsel instead of chasing what feels easy, then heaven begins to move. I have placed within you the capacity to change. I have given you the strength to stand up. I have given you the Holy Spirit to guide you. But if you remain sitting still, blessing will flow past like a stream that your hands can never quite touch. Believe this, I never call you to act without also giving you the strength to do it. Each step you take is a response to my call, and I am always right behind you to steady you when you stumble. A soul that only knows how to ask, give me, but never asks, what must I do, will gradually become fragile. And that frailty makes you easily believe that I am silent, even though in truth you are the one standing outside, my working. You were not born to be passive under grace. You were born to be a co-worker with heaven. I do my part, but I always reserve a part for you so that you yourself may grow. I do not want blessing to turn you into someone dependent and complacent. I want blessing to turn you into someone who walks strongly through the darkness. And when you begin to act, you will see that everything I promise bears the imprint of you within it, the courage, the perseverance, the right choices that only you can make. I know you fear failure, fear making mistakes, fear having to pay the price. But my child, staying still will cost you the most, for then you lose precisely what I have prepared for you. You do not need to be perfect, you only need to be willing. I will make crooked paths straight. I will turn trembling steps into steady ones. I will transform your small attempts into results beyond what you can imagine. What I need is not your perfection, but your obedience. And true obedience begins when you act even while you are not yet completely sure. Like a father taking your hand as you learn to walk. I do not ask you to run, I only want you to stand up. If you ask why, you must act when I am more than able to do all things. I will answer because I do not want you merely to receive blessing. I want you to become someone who can steward blessing. What you obtain easily, you will easily lose. But what you walk toward and take hold of will become part of your very heart. I love you too much to leave you forever childish, never maturing, never growing strong, never learning to fight for your own life. At the deepest place of my love lies discipline and training, because I long to see you go beyond your fears. And when you dare to act, true miracles do not only happen around you, but within you, right where I most long to touch. Look again at the times I healed in Scripture. I told the paralyzed man. Rise up, I told the blind man. Go and wash, I told Lazarus. Come out. Miracles always went hand in hand with action. I still work in that same way today. With you, I release power from heaven. But you walk with your own feet. I speak my word, but you respond with obedience. Every step you take, however small, opens the way for heaven to do the greater part. You may not realize it, but the moment you are willing to lift your hands out of despair, I have already begun to raise you up from the depths you thought you could never escape. And as you learn to stand up, you will discover something profound. Blessing is no longer something you demand, but becomes the natural outflow of a life that walks in step with my word. You will find yourself stronger, brighter, more steadfast. You will see that my presence does not come only when you call, but accompanies you in every step you take, precisely when you become someone who steps forward, someone who joins in with me. You will more easily recognize what I am preparing for those who not only hear, but also do. And from here you will understand why some souls can never seem to see their lives transformed, not because I do not bless, but because they cling so tightly to their past, their sin, and their self-condemnation that they do not dare to move forward. There are things I see in your heart that you do not dare to name, a hidden gnawing that clings to you like a shadow, following you even when you try to walk quickly away. I see how you try to smile, yet behind that smile is a familiar sigh, the sigh of someone who believes they will never be good enough. You hold your past so tightly in your hands that I cannot place any new blessing there. It is not that I do not want to change your life, it is that you have not let go of what has already decayed. I have erased your sins, yet you keep them as evidence against yourself. As Hebrews 8:1-2 declares, I will remember their sins no more, yet you remember them on my behalf, and condemn yourself day after day. Do you know that there are souls so accustomed to pain that they are afraid of happiness? I see that in you. The past has wounded you, and instead of letting me heal you, you have learned to curl in on yourself like a withered leaf, afraid of the wind's touch. You think you are being humble when you blame yourself, but in truth you are bound by a sense of guilt that I never placed upon your shoulders. Sometimes you are in pain not because of your sin, but because you will not accept my forgiveness, and this sends your spirit into a cycle. You fail. You punish yourself. You strive to make up for it, and then you collapse again. My child, I do not want you to live by that worn-out rhythm any longer. I want your heart to be free. I see how you bow your head each time you remember the mistakes you have made. Even though I have washed them away with the blood of my only Son, you think that tormenting yourself is proof of repentance. But it is only self-punishment that exhausts your soul. Repentance is turning back to me. Self-torment is turning in on yourself. You have confused the two, and it is precisely this confusion that makes it hard for you to touch the peace I have promised. You think that shame will keep you from failing again. But shame only makes you forget your true worth. I forgive you so that you can move forward, not so that you will stand in one place forever, weeping over the ashes of your past. There are nights when I hear you whisper, Lord, you must be so disappointed in me. You don't realize that those very words hurt me more than any mistakes you have ever made. Because in that moment you are trusting your feelings more than my word. I have never looked at you through the lens of your failures. I see you through the work I am doing in you. You are changing, even when you do not notice it. The wounds in your heart do not prove your weakness. They prove that you are still alive, still longing, still sensitive enough to ache over what is wrong. And I can heal hearts like that. You only need to let me in, instead of continuing to hide behind the walls you yourself have built. Self-pity is the sweetest trap the enemy sets for you. It makes you believe you are powerless, that your destiny is failure, that everyone else is better than you. But that is not my voice. My voice comes with gentleness, but it never drags you down. My voice always lifts you up, even when I correct you. Self-pity, on the other hand, convinces you that you are not worthy to rise again. A soul swallowed by self-pity cannot see the door of heaven right in front of it. I do not want you to live forever with your head bowed down. I want you to stand tall as one whom I have redeemed, because you belong to me, not to the abyss of yesterday's dark emotions. You often ask me, why has my life not changed yet? And I gently answer, because you still do not believe that you are worthy to be transformed. When you cling tightly to your old sins, you are unintentionally saying that the cross was not strong enough to set you free. But, my child, I have already done the greatest thing. Everything else in your life is only the smaller part. I am not waiting for you to become perfect. I am waiting for you to trust me. You only need to believe that you are truly forgiven, and you will step out of the darkness like someone just reborn. You do not need to do anything spectacular to prove your change. You only need to start living as someone who has been set free. When you let shame take control, it dominates every decision you make. You fear new opportunities. You fear loving someone. You fear trying again in the very places where you once broke. I want to say this tenderly, that fear is not a spirit from me. I have given you a spirit of power, love, and self-control, not a timid, avoiding spirit. When you miss an opportunity because of fear, it is not I who have closed the door, it is you who have not dared to step through. The truth is, you are not lacking in ability, you are only lacking faith in the very value I have placed inside you. And when you begin to believe that, doors that seem blocked will open once more. I also know there are times when self-pity makes you feel special in a twisted way, as if your pain were so great that even I could not reach it. But there is no abyss beyond my hand. There is no wound I cannot touch. There is no self-pronounced sentence stronger than the word I declare over you. You are forgiven. You are living as if you were outside of grace, while I have already covered you with my own love. Give me just a small space in your heart, and I will widen that sky within you so you can see the light you have long been afraid to look at. The things you keep holding on to have been pulling you back for far too long. They drain you, leaving you without strength to receive anything new. I have called you out of your past, yet you still stand on the border because you do not believe your future can be different. I do not force you, I wait for you. But time does not wait. And if you keep fixing your eyes on the place from which I already brought you out, you will miss the seasons of visitation I am preparing for you. What I long for is that you pay attention to the present, instead of endlessly circling around the things I have already closed forever. Remember, this self-condemnation does not make you holier. It only wears you out. It is returning to me that makes you strong. I want you to know that your weakness does not drive me away, it draws me closer. The only thing that keeps you from receiving blessing is not your sin, but your refusal to believe that I have already forgiven you. When you believe, you will walk like someone whose chains have just fallen off. And such a soul always shines in the unique way I have designed. And when you rise from your own torment, you will see the door of a new calling waiting for you. For the one who has been healed always carries within a call to heal others. Do you know this? Every time I pour blessing into your life, I do not only look at how fully you will live, I also look to see whether you are willing to become a channel for others. Many of my children are excited when they hear me promise to deliver, to heal, to make a way. Yet they fall silent when I speak about sharing, loving, and lifting other souls. Blessing is not the destination, it is only preparation. I bless so that you can give. I lift you up so that you can lift others. I heal you so that you can become a living testimony. As 2 Corinthians 1:4 says that I comfort you in your troubles so that you can comfort others. You receive in order to become light. That has always been my intention. I have seen you shine many times when I answer your prayers, but I have also seen you hesitate when I nudge you to share those very things with someone who is suffering more. I understand why you hesitate. You fear being misunderstood, judged, or not believed about what I have done in you. But my child, a testimony is not for you to prove yourself, it is evidence of me. When you keep what I have given only for yourself, the blessing loses its power to spread. In contrast, when you dare to share, the blessing becomes a fresh stream, always flowing, always full. I did not create your soul to be a reservoir, I created you to be a river. There are those to whom I give abundant material blessing, yet their souls are impoverished because they do not know how to use that abundance to touch anyone. I will not let you walk that path. I love you too much to watch you live merely as a hoarder of blessing without knowing its purpose. When you ask me to open financial doors, I listen, but I also watch to see whether your heart is expanding as well. Because a closed heart cannot carry a calling, and I want you to step into your own calling, the one only you can fulfill, because I have placed within you things that no one else has. You often think that to serve me, you must be very perfect, very strong, and very gifted. But my child, I do not send perfect people, I send those who know how to surrender. What I need is not talent but a willing heart. A quiet prayer you whisper for someone can be more powerful than the sermon of an eloquent speaker. A hug, a word of comfort, a piece of bread shared with the hungry, these are the seeds of heaven. You will never fully see their impact until I let you look back. What matters is that you are willing to stretch out your hand, even if it is trembling. I know you have thought that you are not good enough to be a channel of blessing. You look at your past, at your failures, at the things you have not yet overcome, and you conclude, I cannot help anyone, but I do not call you based on your past. I call you based on the future I have prepared. I chose you not because you are strong, but because I want to be strong in your life. Everything you have walked through, the pain, the restoration, the times I have lifted you up, all of it becomes spiritual treasure for you to use for others. What you see as scars in my eyes are proofs of victory. Remember that I want you to be my loving representative on the earth. When you speak with kindness, it is I speaking through you. When you pray with someone, it is I who am touching them through your prayer. When you forgive the hardest person to forgive, you are revealing my very nature, the nature you are slowly growing into. I do not want you to think that calling is something distant. It begins right in your family, in your workplace, in every small conversation. Every breath can become part of heaven if you offer it to me. Blessing is never meant just to fill you. Blessing is given so that you become a living testimony in a world starving for hope. There are souls walking through their own night, and they need to hear from someone I have already pulled out of the darkness, someone like you. Do not think you must do something great. Simply being present with compassion is already a ray of light. And when you step into that role, you will see something wondrous. Your soul will be restored more deeply than when you only knew how to receive. I want you to understand that blessing never runs dry when you know how to share. What makes blessing feel scarce is the attitude of clutching it, as if you feared I would not give more. But I am a source that never runs dry. When you give, I pour in. When you pour out, I replenish. You will discover that true abundance does not lie in how much blessing you possess, but in your becoming part of my work on this earth. And the soul that finds its meaning is always the soul most deeply healed. When you step into your calling, you will realize an important truth. What weakens you is not a lack of blessing, but a lack of purpose. Purpose is what makes you strong. Purpose makes you stand firm. Purpose keeps you going even when the road is long. And that purpose I have placed in you so that you will never return to a shrunken life of living only for yourself. You were created to shine outward, not to withdraw. And my child, there is something I want you to notice. Some people cannot walk in their calling because they have lost sensitivity to the moments when I draw near. Delay, distraction, treating my call lightly. All of these can cause a soul to miss the very moment heaven opens to it. I will make this clearer to you, because you need to understand the importance of today before I lead you one step further. There are moments when I come very close. So close that one sigh from you would be enough for you to sense me. Yet you let your mind be pulled away by trivial things. I see you listen to a message and your heart stirs. But only a few minutes later you scroll on to something else, as if your soul had not just been touched. You do not realize that those moments are invitations from heaven, an invitation not given to everyone. You wait for great signs. Yet I use very small things to move you. As 1 Kings 19:12 speaks of, my gentle whisper, you will miss it if the ears of your heart refuse to pause, and a single missed moment can cause you to wander for many months, even many years. I hear your prayers asking for a changed life, but you do not realize that I have come many times knocking on the door of your heart. You think I have not answered, while in reality, I am waiting for you to respond. You are waiting for something great, but I am waiting for you to step into something small, a decision to repent, a moment of stillness, an act of obedience. You imagine that your future will change through dazzling miracles. But in truth, your future begins to change in the small moments you no longer treat lightly. It is in those very moments that heaven opens. But if you continue to let distraction pull you away, you will go on living like someone standing outside of what I am doing in your life. Distraction is not only that you are busy. Distraction is when your heart is filled with priorities that crowd out my place. I have seen you receive a strong prompting from the Holy Spirit, yet you tell yourself, I'll change tomorrow. When I'm free, I'll do it. You do not know how dangerous that word tomorrow really is. Each time you delay, another layer forms over your heart, and each layer makes you less sensitive to my leading. Spiritual callousness does not appear in a single night. It comes from many times brushing aside my gentle touches. I warn you of this because I love you enough not to let you drift any further. I often speak to you in a very gentle voice. Give me your hand. But that very hand is full of things you have not yet let go of: your phone, your own plans, the fear of losing control, cares that seem harmless. You do not see that these things steal from you, not only your time but also your spiritual sensitivity, the very thing I most want to guard in you. When you are overly preoccupied with what the world demands, you will forget what heaven is whispering. I do not accuse you, but I invite you to return, so that you can take my hand before that opportunity passes like the morning mist. There are people who listen to hundreds of messages and watch thousands of spiritual videos, yet their lives never change. It is not because my word lacks power, but because they hear with their ears and not with their hearts. You also have been like that, listening to know, but not listening to obey. I want you to understand that each message that comes at just the right time for you is not a coincidence. It is a knock. It is an invitation. It is a sign that I am drawing near. And when I come near and you still do not open your heart, what you lose is not just a lesson, but a whole season of visitation. I want to say this slowly and very clearly. The moments when I touch you always carry the power to transform you right then and there. But that power cannot enter a heart that is still divided. You do not need to understand everything. You do not need to solve everything. You do not need to know what you will do tomorrow. You only need to say, yes, here I am. Your smallest act of obedience can become the greatest turning point in your spiritual journey. I do not want you to live forever in the cycle, stirred, then delaying, and then forgetting. I want you to become someone who seizes the moments when heaven opens over you. I know your hesitation is not always intentional. Sometimes it comes from weariness. Sometimes from the fear that you will not be strong enough to keep up. But my child, I do not require you to be strong before you walk with me. It is as you walk that my strength comes. You only need to dare to decide in the moment I touch you. I will do the rest for you. Do not wait until you feel ready to return. Do not wait until your life is calm to respond. Right today, in the chaos, the confusion, the exhaustion, I am calling you. Look back over your life and ask, how many times have I called and you did not hear? How many times were you on the verge of change but stopped halfway? How many times did you sense me so near, yet let that opportunity slip away? I am not asking to shame you. I am asking so that you know I am still patiently waiting, and I am setting before you a new season. But you can only step into it if you stop, just once, and truly listen. What you need is not more promises. What you need is a decided heart. And my child, a soul that knows how to seize the time of my visitation, will not only have its own life transformed, but will also become a carrier of life to other souls. I want you to be among those people. But first, you must learn to recognize when I am touching you, and not let the trivial things of this life cause you to miss the moments I have prepared just for you. Because behind every time I visit you, there is always a greater, deeper calling, which I am about to speak to you. I want you to understand this very clearly, as if I were placing my hand on your shoulder and speaking softly. The fact that you have hesitated many times and have overlooked many of the times I knocked does not mean I have closed off your future. On the contrary, I am your God, the one who sees the whole journey of which you have only walked the first few steps, and I assure you that the days ahead are not a weary repetition of yesterday, but new seasons I have already prepared. Even when right now, in your eyes, everything seems like a single, heavy shade of gray. You see only a small corner, but I see the whole picture. I know why your present is the way it is. I know which opportunities you have lost, how many times you have wept in secret, how many times you have asked yourself, I wonder if the Lord still remembers me. And right within those very questions, I am quietly rearranging each detail more carefully than you imagine. Not to punish you, but so that in the end, everything will fit into a purpose far greater than the small expectations you are holding in your hands. You look at reality with tired eyes, so you think that everything is against you, but I look at your life with the eyes of the Creator, and so I know what must be kept, what must be taken away, what must be allowed to collapse, so that the foundation within you can be rebuilt more firmly. Sometimes you think I am silent, but that silence is like a pause before a new chapter is opened. And it is in that pause that I am quietly dismantling traps you do not even know you are about to stumble into. At times I allow a door you eagerly awaited to close, not because you are unworthy, but because I see that at the end of that road lies a chasm. At other times I do not answer your prayer immediately, not because I have abandoned you, but because if I gave too soon, that blessing would weigh down a heart not yet mature, and you would misunderstand me, turning the blessing into a burden and blaming me yet again. I know that in the dark you easily doubt. I know that when you hear bad news, when you look at your finances, your health, your fractured relationships, you easily say, perhaps the plan for my life has ended. But my child, I do not write your story with hurried strokes. I write with patience, with a love that is not shaken by your momentary wrong decisions. You see failure, but I see an opportunity to rebuild. You see loss, but I see the empty space I will use to pour something new into. You see a dead end, but I see the turning point that keeps you from going deeper into danger. Therefore, I remind you not to rush to conclusions about your future based only on what your eyes see today. Because the truth is that there are good things I have long prepared for you. It is just that your heart is not yet still enough to recognize them. Do you remember how many times, looking back later, you exclaimed, If things had gone according to my wishes that day, I would be suffering much more now. In those very moments, you are unwittingly admitting that I intervened while you thought I was standing aside. In the same way, right this moment, whether you feel me clearly or not, I am still at work, still reshaping the broken lines of your life, still joining the scattered pieces into something meaningful. And one day, you will weep with gratitude when you recognize it. I want you to learn to look at your life not only through numbers, success, praise, or the recognition of others, but through this question: am I drawing nearer to Him? Am I allowing Him to change me from within? If the answer is yes, then even if many things on the outside are not yet in order, you are still moving in the right direction. But if everything seems fine outwardly while your heart grows cold and drifts away from me, that is not success. That is a warning sign I want you to take seriously. Sometimes I pull you out of places you thought were safe. I allow certain uncertainties to arise, not to make you panic, but to stop you from leaning on temporary pillows, on relationships and habits that make you forget me. I allow some cracks to appear so that you will know that only I am the unshakable foundation. You will never truly understand my faithfulness if everything around you is always smooth. It is precisely in the hours that seem the darkest that you discover what foundation you are really standing on. I do not ask you to be strong all the time, nor do I require you to pretend to be fine. I only want you, in honesty, to bring all your weakness, emptiness, and turmoil to me. When you do that, you step out of the role of someone who only knows how to wear a spiritual mask and into the role of a child who can weep in their father's arms without fear of being criticized. And right in that moment, I can begin to renew you. I wipe away your tears. I lift your chin so you no longer keep your head bowed. I whisper that your story is far from over. I invite you to change the way you see the trials that have passed and are passing through your life. Do not see them as curses, as proof that I have abandoned you, but see them as tools I use to shape your soul, so that you will not merely survive this life, but become a person of spiritual weight, someone who can stand firm to uphold others, just as a potter places a lump of clay on the wheel, not to destroy it, but to shape it according to the form he already holds in his heart. So I do with you. The spinning, the swaying, the pressures you do not like are in fact helping to fashion you into my image. If you keep running away from every pressure, you will also be running away from the very process that makes you into the true person I long for you to become. I know there are moments when you wish everything could stay calm and uneventful, without storms, but a smooth, undisturbed life can sometimes be a life that bears no fruit. I want you to know the joy not only of receiving blessings, but also of looking back and realizing it was in that season that seemed so dark that the Lord was building me to be stronger, deeper, and more able to love. For every crack that I heal becomes a place where my light can shine through to reach those who carry wounds like yours. I am calling you to learn gratitude not only for the beautiful things, but also for the things that once made you weep. Be grateful that you are still alive today, which means your story is still unfolding. Be grateful that no matter how many times you have strayed, I have never erased your name from my heart. Be grateful that what was once taken out of your hands has opened the way for other, better things to be placed into them. Be grateful that there are people who have walked away, so that you would no longer lean on them as your main pillars, and so that I can reclaim the place in your heart that I alone deserve. And be grateful that every time you fall, I do not leave you lying on the ground, but I always stretch out my hand, only waiting for you to take it. Do not be afraid that you have missed all your chances. What truly belongs to you in my will is not going to drift away just because of what someone says, or because you were a step too slow. No person and no power can steal what I have intentionally reserved for you. As long as you do not willingly walk away from me, The blessings, the opportunities, the doors I have ordained for you will come at the exact time I know is best. Even when that timetable does not match the schedule you hoped for. Your part is not to worry about when these things will arrive. Your part is to keep your heart soft, your ears open, and your steps faithful on the narrow path I set before you each day. I want you to understand that your life is not a chain of random events. Your path is part of a much larger, sacred tapestry, where every step you take, every time you rise again, every time you choose to believe instead of giving up, has an echo in eternity. You see each day as something isolated, but I am weaving those days together. You see only a short stretch of the road, but I see the whole journey. Therefore, when I tell you to wait, it is not a meaningless pause, but the time when I am preparing you from within, so that when the door opens, you will step through with a heart mature enough to hold fast what I give. No matter how fierce the storm in your heart, I am still there, whether you can feel me or not. I am still holding your life. Not a single day passes when I turn my face away from you. My love for you does not rise and fall with your level of spirituality or with the number of times you get things right. It does not increase when you pray more, nor does it decrease when you are weak. It is a love sealed by the cross, a seal that cannot be erased. What I desire is that you gradually learn to trust this love more than you trust the unstable emotions within yourself. For only when you truly believe that I love you will you dare to draw near and to entrust to me even the parts of yourself you are most ashamed of. And then you will truly step into the journey of complete healing. Today, as you hear these words, they are not just pleasant sentences, they are my voice speaking personally to you. I still have plans for you. I am not weary of you. I do not regret having chosen you. And I am not abandoning the work I began in your life. What I am waiting for from you is not a brilliant performance to prove you are worthy, but a simple yet genuine response. Lord, I do not understand everything, but I choose to believe that you are still holding my life. From the moment you say that, even in a whisper, all of heaven hears it, and I will take one more step toward you. Let your heart grow still in this moment, so that you may recognize that amid all the noise of life there is still one voice persistently pursuing you, my voice. I do not grow tired of calling your name, nor do I lose patience because of the times you are slow to answer. Yet I do not want you to keep pushing your own response off until tomorrow. The future I have prepared for you does not begin on some far distant day. It begins at the very moment you turn back. Open your heart and take my hand, and I promise you, not with empty words, but with my own faithful nature, that you will no longer have to walk alone, because I have been, am now, and will always be by your side, until the story of you and me enters the most beautiful chapter, which today you cannot even imagine. Now, while you are still lingering with these words, while your eyes have not yet moved on and your heart is still opening even a small crack to me, I want you to know that I am doing far more than you can sense in this present moment, in the deepest place of your soul, where no one but I can see. I am quietly reshaping the tears you have hidden in the dark of night into seeds of new joy. They are not meaningless. They do not simply fall to the ground and vanish. They are being gathered by me, so that one day they will become a beautiful harvest that will even surprise you. The things that block your way today, the obstacles that make you want to give up, the doors that seem slammed shut in your face, I am using them as material to train you, to lift you to a higher place where you not only survive hardship, but also understand why I have let you pass through those things. You have often asked yourself, will my life ever step into a new chapter? Or will everything stay like this forever? And at times, you have slowly come to believe that nothing will change. But I tell you that this new chapter is already opening. Even though you can see only its first lines, You are not someone left behind, not a forgotten face in the crowd. You are the one I call by name, the one I have chosen, the one whose hurried breathing I see clearly, whose hands clenched in anxiety, whose head bowed in weariness I notice. Therefore, even if circumstances try to convince you that you are a failure, I affirm to you that, in my eyes, you are in the midst of a transformation, not standing at a shattered end. I have told you many times that I am light, but today I want you yourself to speak this out as the declaration of your own soul. Open your mouth, even trembling, and say, "The Lord is my light." For every time you say it, you are not merely reciting words. You are restoring to me my rightful place in your life, the place of the one who leads, illuminates, directs the path, and shelters you. When you make this confession, the darkness around you, the negative thoughts, the self-condemning words, the old memories that still haunt you will gradually lose their power over your mind, not because you are strong, but because you choose to stand on truth instead of standing on passing emotions. I see the times when you feel utterly exposed in the midst of life, even when people are around you, because the deepest loneliness is not the lack of people on the outside, but the feeling that no one understands the silent cry within. But listen to me, you never walk alone, even when you think I am silent. I am still walking in step with you. I am still holding your mind in the long nights when you cannot sleep. I am still lifting you up after all the times you feel you just want to lie there and never move again. You are not abandoned in this battle. You have a commander who is loving yet full of authority. And I do not send anyone into a fight without giving them the armor and the strength they need to battle to the end. You have lost some skirmishes, but that does not mean the war has ended in defeat. I declared the outcome before you ever saw the first wound. You will be victorious. Not because you are a hero, but because you fight under my banner, the banner of the one who has never lost a battle. Sickness may wear out your body. A diagnosis may leave you reeling. The numbers and the doctor's words may make you feel as if all hope has closed. But I am still whispering in your heart that this is not the final word. I know every cell in your body, every breath you draw, every heartbeat that sometimes races in fear. And I am not indifferent to any of it. I am at work in your body, in your soul, in your spirit, in ways that medicine cannot measure. And I am still calling you to cooperate with me, to believe, to keep walking, to care for yourself, to refuse to let go, to refuse to surrender. There will come a day when you look back and see that the place you thought was the prison of your pain has become the place where my glory shines out most brightly. Because it is from your weakness that my power is revealed more fully than anything you could ever build on your own. You have also suffered many losses: money, time, opportunities, relationships, even the image of yourself in the eyes of others, and you think these things have slipped away like water spilled on the ground that can never be gathered up again. But I tell you that I am the one who can restore what seems utterly lost. I do not merely compensate you in material ways for the damage you have borne. I also work deep within you so that you are no longer imprisoned by a sense of being at a disadvantage. I do not promise that everything will return to exactly how it was before. I promise something greater. I will bring you what truly belongs to you in the new chapter. Something that, without the season you have just walked through, you would never have had the depth to receive and to guard. So when I say that you will recover what is yours, I am not speaking only of possessions or reputation. I am also speaking of peace, of courage, of purity of heart, of a sense of purpose you thought you had lost long ago. All these words I am speaking to you are not empty encouragements. They stand on the foundation of my very nature. I am the faithful one who never speaks without intending to fulfill. I know you have heard many promises from people and then watched them swept away with time. So now you are quick to doubt, even when you hear, my promises. But I want you to distinguish. People may forget, but I do not. And the plans I make are not shaken just because you pass through a few storms. What I have spoken over your life will not die halfway. It may pass through turns that are longer than you expected. It may be delayed by your own hesitation. But it does not vanish. Because my word is like a seed sown into your heart. It may lie dormant for a time, but in the right season, it will sprout. You do not need to strain to hold on to that promise. You only need to cling to me, the one who promised. For once, I have laid my hand on your life. No power, no circumstance, no opposition is strong enough to erase the lines I am drawing. Sometimes you look around and it feels as if everything is turning its back on you. People don't understand you. Opportunities close. Doors are shut. Money drains away. Your strength is exhausted. And you tell yourself, maybe this just isn't my time. But I want you to know that the very moment when everything seems to be against you is often the moment closest to breakthrough. Because the night is usually darkest right before the dawn. When you have nothing left to hold on to but me, that is when you are in the best position to see me move. Because in that moment my glory will no longer be mixed with your own strength. I am not asking you to deny reality. I am teaching you to place that reality under the authority of my word, so that you no longer live by what your eyes see, but by what I have spoken. And right now, as you are reading these lines, when your mind might already be wanting to move on to something else, I plead with you as a loving father, do not rush away. Do not treat this as just another piece of content on a screen. Do not see yourself as a random passerby who will forget everything in a few minutes. The fact that you have stayed until this very moment is not a coincidence, not a careless tap, but a quiet arrangement that I have woven into your schedule. How many times in your life have you felt something reach this deep into your heart like this moment? How many times have you realized that every word seems to be aiming straight at your fears and your hopes, like this? That is not the work of an algorithm. It is my voice calling your name in the midst of millions of other noises out there. Your time is not tomorrow, not when you are doing better, not when you are less busy, but today, this very moment, as you are sitting, standing, or lying down with a device in your hand and your heart wavering between belief and unbelief. I am opening before you a spiritual door, the very door I spoke to you about in the earlier parts, the door of a season of visitation, a turning point, a deeper call for you to step out of the old cycles. I am not promising you an easy path, but I assure you that if you take my hand today, you will not be the same as before, deep in your spirit, in that part of you that even you sometimes cannot fully understand. You have sensed that something is being stirred. You feel one part of you coming alive with hope, while another part trembles with fear. Because a true miracle does not only change circumstances, it changes you, even though you do not fully understand. It is your spirit that is bearing witness that I am drawing near and about to do something unusual. You sense it in the trembling of your heart, in the tears you cannot explain, in the feeling that this is for me, even though no one is calling your name out loud. I am preparing you to experience an intervention that goes beyond logic, not so that you can tell a sensational story for entertainment, but so that you may know that I am the true and living one, the one who is not a stranger to the darkest corners within you. The miracle that is coming is not merely a favorable outcome, but a moment when you realize that I have never left you, that every staggering step in your past has been part of the journey leading you here to this moment in which you are being invited to respond to me with all your heart. If you are willing, right now, whisper to me, even with clumsy words. I want to believe you. I want to hold on to what you are doing. From that whisper, I will begin to write new lines in the story of your life. Lines filled with light, with healing, with victory, not because you are worthy, but because I love you with a love that cannot be measured, cannot be counted, cannot be compared, and will never change. My child, when I draw near and gently touch your heart, I do not only want you to shed a few tears and then move on. I want to lead you out of the dark place where you have stayed for far too long. All I need is a simple faith, not complicated, not ornate, but sincerely turned toward me. And I can do what you thought you could never change in your entire lifetime. You do not have to strain to make yourself more spiritual. You do not have to try to appear strong before me. For I am not moved by appearances. I look straight into the deepest place of your soul. What I am waiting for from you is not long, elaborate prayers, but a heart willing to open, willing to listen, willing to let me explain, willing to let me love you as you sit there, exhausted by your own thoughts. I have already begun to touch the situation you believed was deadlocked. But the doors I open often do not make the noise you expect, so you easily mistake them for silence. I want you to understand that faith is not the absence of trembling. It is that even while your heart is still shaking, you choose to place the weight of your life upon my word rather than upon the things that are making you panic. You may feel small, but I have already declared that faith as small as a mustard seed is enough to move mountains. What I am asking you today is not, how strong is your faith, but will you dare to place that tiny faith in my hands? I know your mind is full of noise, full of questions, full of images and memories tangled together like a knotted mess of cords. The accusations of others, the negative words you say to yourself, the comparisons, the fears that, what if everything gets worse, are all shouting so loudly that my voice seems very small. Many times you think I am silent, but in reality my voice is being drowned out by the chaos of your own thoughts. I do not come to shout at you. I do not force you to listen to me immediately. I come with gentleness, yet with enough majesty to invite you to turn down the other channels in your heart. You do not have to answer every message. You do not have to keep up with every pace of this world. But you do need to give me a quiet enough place in your mind where you can hear me tell you, you are not abandoned. I see every time you try to push away the negative thoughts, only to find that the more you push them away, the stronger they return, because you are trying to do what only I have the power to do. Let me step into your thought life. Let me exchange the self-belittling words for reminders of the value I have placed in you. You are not the sum total of your failures, mistakes, and weaknesses. You are the one I have called by name, the one I have redeemed at the cost of the life of my beloved Son. I see how you have bound yourself with invisible sentences. I am worthless. I mess everything up. I do not deserve a new beginning. Those words do not come from me. I never speak to you in a language that crushes. I speak in a language that corrects, yet lifts up. You have been far too harsh with yourself, while I am more patient with you than you imagine. I know you think that you must be hard on yourself in order to be serious, in order to truly repent. But my child, I am not asking you to torture your soul. I am calling you to return to me. Repentance is not constructing a new prison inside your heart and locking yourself in it. It is stepping out of the old chains to take my hand and walk in a different direction. I am not waiting for you to sort out all your feelings before I let you come close. I want you to come to me while you are still confused, still ashamed, still weary of yourself. Learn to be more merciful toward yourself, because if I, the Holy One, the Perfect One, have already chosen to forgive you, then you have no right to go on condemning yourself forever. You remember the days when you thought you were strong enough to endure anything, confident that I'm fine. I've got this under control, until something happened that shattered the sense of security you had built on your own strength. Now you feel as if you are standing on trembling ground, no longer able to trust your own reactions, your clarity, your steadfastness, You thought that was the end. But with me, that is often the beginning. I am not surprised by your weakness, because I have never expected you to be the source of your own strength. Long ago, I spoke to my servant, telling him to be strong and courageous, not to be afraid, because I would go with him in every path he walked. That same word I now place over your life. Your strength may fade, but I never run out. The more you realize your fragility, the more your heart can open for my power to be fully revealed, right in the very areas of weakness you despise the most. Do not be ashamed of being tired. What is truly dangerous is not that you are weary, but that you are weary and still trying to pretend you are fine, to the point that you no longer find your way back to me. There are moments when you ask in your heart, Lord, if you are truly at work, why do I not see anything changing yet? You forget that I usually start in places your eyes cannot see within you, in the way you think, the way you react, the way you look at yourself and your circumstances. When I begin to speak, I do not always blow open every door with a loud crash. Often I simply and gently turn your heart away from the things that have been draining your energy for so long. I work in the sentences you are beginning to dare to say. Maybe I will try to forgive. Maybe I will stop blaming myself the way I used to. Maybe I will give myself another chance. Those maybes, when upheld by my word, will gradually become I choose. I do not paint your circumstances rosy in a second just to reassure you that I am working. I reshape the roots inside so that you yourself, with new eyes, can look at the same situation without collapsing as before. Sometimes the greatest miracle is that you no longer fall apart before the same things that once destroyed you. I am calling you to rise, but not in order to frighten you into thinking you must face the whole world alone. I am calling you to stand so that you may walk with me. Rising does not mean you are instantly strong. Rising means you relinquish the posture of lying crushed beneath the lies that have held you for so long. You may still be trembling, still anxious, but when you choose to confront rather than to run away, heaven stands on your side. I am calling you to look straight at what you have been avoiding: the hard conversation, the decision that must be made, the truth you need to accept, the pattern of living that must change. I am not calling you to rush recklessly into battle. I am calling you to take my hand and step into your situation one step at a time with a new boldness, a boldness that does not come from temperament, but from knowing that I am there. Someone who knows they are not alone will see challenges very differently from someone who believes they have been completely abandoned. You have hidden far too many times behind the words, I am too weak. I can't do it. I do not deny that weakness, but neither do I allow you to use it as an excuse to give up. I see how, when you appeal to your exhaustion in order not to change, the enemy stands by with a satisfied smile, because it does not have to do much, only let you loosen your own grip. I want you to see that scheme clearly, so that you will no longer cooperate with it. I will not throw you into places beyond your capacity, but I also will not cradle you in the same old spot forever. I lead you into small steps, an apology, a decisive break with what is wrong, an appointment to pray with someone else, an action that cuts off a relationship that is pulling you away from me. From a distance, it may look frightening, but when you walk with me, each step will become lighter than you expected. At some point you will look back in surprise and say, how did I come this far without realizing it? You are afraid of the dark, but you are even more afraid of the darkness inside other people, those who speak ill of you behind your back, those who carry unclean intentions, those scrutinizing eyes. I know there are times when your heart trembles just because of a few words or the indifferent attitude of someone. But, my child, that is not the measure of your worth. Those who hide themselves in the dark corners of narrow-minded thoughts, of jealousy, of calculation, are not the ones who have the final say over your life. I am the one who has the final word. I am not telling you to ignore completely what others think, but I want you to learn to discern which words of correction I am using to teach you, and which are useless arrows only meant to pull you off the path. If you keep living with your head bowed for fear of what people might think, you will forget to lift your eyes and see what I am thinking about you. Let me teach you how to stand firm in the midst of all that noise. Do not let the shadows of those who do not understand you, the nameless dark forces, the whispers spoken behind the curtain make you forget that I am walking with you through these bustling streets. I do not promise that no one will ever oppose you, but I assure you that no power can overcome the purpose I have for your life when you walk in obedience. Do not waste your strength trying to control how everyone evaluates you. Use that strength instead to cling tightly to my word. When you stand in my will, even the attacks will become the very material I use to shape you into someone stronger, deeper, gentle, yet resilient. You will learn not to tremble every time the darkness stirs, because you will know that you are walking beside the one who is the light that never goes out. So today, in the midst of all the chaos you are going through, I do not come to you with a cold command, but with the call of a father, my child. Come closer to me. Trust me enough to lay down some of the burdens you are holding. Trust me enough to forgive yourself. Trust me enough to stand up again, even while your knees are still shaking. You do not need to prove anything to me. You only need to answer. Here I am. I am tired, but I am willing to walk with you. From that very moment, the journey of true transformation begins, not with fireworks or thunder, but with a quiet decision in your heart. And from that small starting point, I will lead you day by day, through each circumstance, through each confrontation, until you realize that what I am doing in you is greater than anything you ever asked me to do for you. Today, I want to use these very words to rekindle the flame of love that once burned brightly in your heart, the flame that at times seemed to have gone out because of weariness, because of trials, because of the times you thought you had been forgotten. I have not come merely to comfort you for a few minutes and then leave. I have come to awaken the deepest part of your spirit, where you once knew clearly that I am real, where my love once brought tears to your eyes and you did not even know why. I want you to recognize that what you are hearing is not just empty speech, but the rallying cry of a father training his beloved child to become a courageous warrior. You will no longer simply sit and watch the storms, but you will know how to rise, to face the obstacles, to walk through the walls you used to avoid. The adversities that once threatened to paralyze you will become the battlefield where I teach you to fight with faith. Instead of running away in tears and fear, I will teach you not to tremble before threats, slander, or the contemptuous glances of people, because your soul will be anchored in me, not in anyone's praise or criticism. When storms gather and dark clouds cover the sky, when bad news follows bad news, when the future seems hidden, I want you to remember that you are not struggling alone in a cold void, because I am right there, by your side. In every seemingly chaotic breath you take, I am not only the distant one enthroned in the highest heavens, I am your Father, the one who bends down to watch every tear that falls, the one who hears even the sighs you never put into words. And in my heart, there is always room for you. No matter how you are steady or fragile, peaceful or overwhelmed, you are my child, not an anonymous number among the multitudes. And my deepest desire is not to force you into perfection, but to keep you in my arms, to shield you from the arrows aimed at your soul, to teach you to stand in the authority I have given you, instead of collapsing in fear. When you feel small, I do not despise you. I reach out my hand to support you. When everything around you seems too big, I remind you that nothing is beyond my reach. the problems that steal your sleep, the faces, the words, the threats your mind keeps replaying, none of these can rise above me. For I am the one who created the whole universe, and at the same time am the one holding your hand as you walk through each passing day. I do not promise you that you will never face storms, but I guarantee that no storm has the power to drown a soul that clings tightly to me. I will lead you through battles in which you once thought you would surely go under, not to put my power on display for you, but so that you might see with your own eyes that your weakness is not the full stop at the end of your story, but the very place where I reveal my strength. You will learn to walk as a warrior, not in the earthly sense of aggression, but as a spiritual warrior who knows how to bow down before me in prayer and then rise to face every circumstance with a heart no longer chained by fear as before. I have not forgotten the quiet sacrifices you make for your family, the times you chose to lose, to keep silent, to endure so that others might have peace. I remember every drop of sweat, every late night you sat alone wondering, I don't know if I am doing the right thing. Does anyone understand me? Lord, do you see me? And my answer is, I do see. I always see, even more clearly than you see yourself. The things others forget, I still remember. The efforts that seem to draw no attention, I count every bit, because to me you are never invisible. I want you to understand that the years you have wholeheartedly fulfilled your responsibilities in your family, still striving to keep your faith when others have grown weary and given up, have never been meaningless. They are the very ground where I have been quietly sowing seeds. And at the appointed season, I will cause those seeds to sprout. Many times you have come near to me with a burning heart, praying in simple yet sincere words. And it is precisely those prayers that seemed so weak that have touched my heart the deepest. Even when you feel nothing special, I am still at work behind the scenes of your life, arranging things you never imagined, opening doors you thought were closed, loosening knots you do not even know where to begin to untie. I am the Lord of every resource. I am not limited by your income, your status, or your background, because I am the Lord of all wealth and all opportunity. Silver and gold in human hands are only temporary things, but you are the true treasure I guard. When I say that I will provide, it means that I will care for you not only so that you have enough to live, but enough that you may also give. Not always in large sums of money, but perhaps in time, in understanding, in an embrace, in timely help for someone who is in despair. I love the humble. I love those who tremble at evil. I love hearts that refuse to trample the weak in order to build happiness for themselves. And I am also the one who rises to defend those who have been deceived, oppressed, threatened in the shadows where no one else sees. Do not think that those who use power or schemes to crush you will stand firm forever. I see. I take note. And at the time I have appointed, I, myself, will move things. For I do not allow deceit to rule the lives of those who belong to me. Therefore lift up your head. Do not see yourself as someone who is always beneath others, always losing, always doomed to endure. Victory does not mean never being attacked. It means that even when you are struck down, you rise again by my strength. I want you to feel deeply that your true source does not come from your own intellect, strength, or connections, but from my presence wrapping your life like an invisible cloak. When you are exhausted, I am the one who gives you strength. When you are distracted, I am the one who draws your eyes back. When your mind feels like a battlefield full of chaotic thoughts, I will be the gentle whisper that tells you to pause, to breathe, to look to me and say, I still trust you. I am your safe refuge when mental and material storms are battering your life. and I never close my door when you run to me. You do not need to act strong in front of me. You do not need to be okay before you dare to come near. I receive you in all your confusion, because I, myself, will be the one who slowly loosens every knot in your heart. Do not rush to believe the voice that tells you that this time you will lose everything, that your future has been buried, that your recent mistake is the end of the road, because that is not my voice. My voice always carries hope. No matter how stern my words may be, my voice always opens a way, never drives you into a dark corner with no way out. Your present circumstances may be fierce, but they do not have the right to define your ending, because I am the one who is writing your story day by day. Many times you have thought that your joy has died, that your zeal cannot return, that the doors are all tightly shut. But I am using these very words to awaken in you a sense that something is stirring, coming alive, beginning to burn again, so gentle, yet real. It is the sign that your faith has not been lost. It has only been covered with the dust of disappointment and weariness. And I am breathing on it, wiping it clean, lifting it up so that once again it may become the flame that lights the way before you. I rejoice when I see you still coming back, still listening, still wanting to cling to me, even when you sometimes feel full of contradictions within yourself. Your faithfulness, though imperfect, is still something I cherish, because I look at the whole picture. Not only at the times you stumble, I am working miracles in your life. Not only the kind that solve problems in an instant, but the miracle of renewing your spirit, healing your emotions, rearranging you from the inside out, so that you will not only stand for a moment, but will be able to walk more firmly than before. From now on, I want you to live as someone who knows you belong to me, not as a guest merely camping on the outskirts of grace. Let your heart respond to me right now, not with flowery words, but with a true opening of yourself, admitting your weakness, agreeing to let me lead, being willing to follow me step by step. When you do that, you will realize that you are not only being rescued, but also being trained to become someone who carries the hope I give to others, because once you have tasted my protection, my strength, and my provision, you will no longer be able to keep it all to yourself. My child, you are no longer standing where you used to stand. You have dared to move, even if it is only one very small step compared to all that you long for. And I am here, very near, to walk with you on this new path. I see the trembling inside you. I hear the silent questions you do not say to anyone. I know the times when you finish praying and are immediately afraid that you will not be answered. But I am not the one who stands far away and merely observes. I am the one who walks beside you, your Father, the one who lays his hand on your shoulder and says, "You do not have to fight alone anymore. You have cried out, even if it was only a sigh in the middle of the night. And that sound is not small or insignificant to me. I answer you not only by changing circumstances, but by my very presence, little by little, in each moment when you allow your heart to grow quiet. What I am doing for you is not merely adjusting a few details in your life, but leading you to the place where you can see everything with different eyes. I have appointed many more years for you on this earth, not so that you merely survive from day to day, but so that you live more awake, more wise, and more whole than before. Every year, every season, every stretch of road I let you walk through carries a deep purpose. No season is wasted. I do not extend your time just so you can keep circling in the same old loops, waking up only to feel weary, trying hard only to end up exhausted, hoping only to give up again. I want the years ahead of you to bear the mark of heaven, years in which you choose what is right, dare to turn from what is wrong, and are willing to let me use your life as a lamp burning in the dark. You will be surprised when you look back and see that it is precisely the old wounds, the days that felt directionless, that I have used so you can understand more deeply the pain of others. I want you to use what you have gone through, the way I have lifted you up, to draw near those who are still confused and despairing, and to speak to them with the very voice you once needed to hear. God has not forgotten you. When you open your mouth to pray, even if your words are clumsy and your mind is in turmoil, I'm still listening to every bit of it. To me, no prayer is too small, too foolish, or too late. Sometimes you think, I have asked too many times already. God must be tired of me by now. But that thought does not come from me. I do not grow weary because you come back too often. I am only saddened when you fall silent and try to endure everything alone. I wait not only to hear you present your struggles, but also to give you the peace you cannot create by yourself. As you wait for my answer in the quiet, I am quietly at work in the deeper layers you have not yet noticed. I am rearranging the broken pieces inside you, soothing the aches of your heart, untangling the knots of anxious thoughts you have let pile up for so long. My answer does not always arrive through some dramatic event. Sometimes it is simply a strange peace settling over you, a gentle certainty in the depths of your heart that says, I am still in control. I want you to learn something important. Do not only demand that I change your circumstances, give me room to change you first. When I adjust your perspective, everything around you will slowly take on a different meaning. What you once called a failure can become the starting point of wisdom. A door that closes can be my way of keeping you from a path that would damage your soul. When you allow me to touch the deepest places of your thoughts and emotions, you will realize that what you truly need is not for everything to unfold exactly as you planned, but for my presence to be in everything that happens. I want to lead you out of the way of thinking that happiness only comes when everything goes your way, so that you can understand that true joy comes from knowing you no longer have to fight on your own. I want you to dare to let me teach you to look at your life in the light of truth, not just through your memories, your fears, or your comparisons with others. I myself am the way you have been searching for, even when you have not called me by that name, when you are lost in your choices, unsure whether to turn left or right. I do not only stretch out my hand to point a direction, I am the path you need to walk in. I do not merely give you a few pieces of advice. I am the truth who enables you to discern which voice is mine, which voice is fear, and which is the sweet-sounding temptation that drains your soul. I do not only give you strength to barely get by. I am the source of life, so that you can live according to the original purpose I placed within you. When you are so weak that you can no longer believe in yourself, I want you to know that my power is made perfect right in those very places of weakness. You do not need to pretend to be strong in front of me. You only need to be honest, and I will do the part you cannot do. In every word I speak, there is already the power to accomplish what I promise. My words are not like human promises, which can change with mood, circumstance, or weakness. When I say, I am with you, that sentence is not merely a comfort, it is a spiritual reality you can lean on every day. When I say, do not be afraid, I am at the same time giving you the ability to face what makes you tremble. I do not speak only to ease your sadness, I speak to rebuild, restore, reorder, and heal. Each time you choose to trust my word more than the screaming voice of worry, you are opening the door for my power to be revealed in your life. You may not see everything change at once, but in the unseen place, the roots of your faith are growing deeper, and that is what will keep you standing firm in the days to come. I want you not only to listen, but to feel the heartbeat of my heart behind these words. I do not send them to you as a distant lesson, I send them as a personal letter, written for you, at this very moment in your life. Do not read them as something meant for more spiritual people, because it is you whom I am calling by name. When you allow your heart to soften, when you stop defending yourself, stop trying to prove yourself, you will hear my voice more clearly amid all the other noise. I do not want the relationship between you and me to stop at simply knowing about each other. I want you to truly experience me, to taste and see how good I am. And that only happens when you allow me to touch the deepest places you have always hidden. Each day, you must choose what will feed your soul, either the worries, comparisons, and negative words of this world, or the loving and truthful words I am speaking to you. If you let your mind be flooded all day with fear, with stories of failure, with images that make you doubt your own worth, then gradually you will come to believe that this is the only reality. But if you allow my word to sound louder, if you make time to inscribe what I speak, then little by little you will see yourself changing from within. You will no longer collapse so easily under criticism. You will no longer be led around by sudden waves of panic. You will begin to live as someone who knows they are loved, chosen, and sent. My word is like bread that nourishes your soul. If you are willing to eat regularly, you will grow strong in ways that even you will find astonishing. Then you will realize that what you have been chasing after outside of yourself, the answer to every problem, the way out of every dead end, has long been found in me. I do not promise to explain every reason to you, but I promise never to abandon you in any circumstance. I will not always show you the whole plan in advance, but I will always hold your hand firmly enough that you do not slip out of my path. When you choose to remain in me, I become the answer, not just the one who gives you answers. I become the place you run to when you are weary, the ground on which you stand when the winds rise, the voice that calms the storms within you. And from that place, every decision, every step, every relationship, every dream of yours will be illuminated by the same light, and that light is me. You once thought that the key to your deliverance lay in some special event, some earth-shaking miracle, something that had to be big enough to match the pain you have gone through. But I want you to know that the key is in my hand, and I am not holding it far from your reach. I am not playing hide and seek with your future. I keep the key because I do not want you to harm yourself by forcing open doors you are not yet ready to walk through. When you draw near, when you trust, when you are willing to let me lead, I will open each door at the right time and in the right way. Some things I open quickly, others I open gradually, but all of it is for the safety and maturity of your soul. The rescue I give you is not only pulling you out of a bad situation, but freeing you from the invisible chains that have bound you from within: fear, inferiority, bitterness, resentment. When those chains are loosened, you will be able to walk more lightly and more steadily, and you will realize that you have never truly been alone, because I have always been there, holding the key, waiting for you to draw near so that I can open up the new life I have prepared just for you. My child, this is the moment when I gently draw near and breathe into your soul a new breath, a breath that darkness has tried many times to extinguish but never could, because it comes from me, the one who called you out from the midst of your most weary and disheartened days. I do not come to roughly patch up the cracks in your heart for a little while. I come to transform. At the root, the way you see yourself, the way you see me, and the way you see the days ahead of you. There are deep places in your heart that you have long been afraid to face, afraid to touch, afraid to even name, because every time you remember them, you feel as though you are being pulled into a cold room full of accusation and shame. Today, I take the light of my love and shine it into every hidden corner, not to parade your faults, but to show you that nothing in your past is strong enough to snatch you out of my hand. I step into the very place you thought I would never dare to touch. I look straight at the things you want to hide. And I say to you, I have seen it all. I have known it all. And I still choose you. You no longer need to run away. Nor do you need to wrap yourself in the thick armor of toughness to cover your wounds. Because I have not come to judge you in this moment, I have come to set you free. The memories that weigh you down are no longer a sentence over your life. They are simply old stories that I will use to write a new page. You have thought that your soul is ruined, crumpled beyond repair. But I am placing my hand upon it and doing what only I can do. I soften the heart that has grown hard. I soothe the places that have been scraped raw. I restore life where you were sure everything had died. Do you remember how many times you have said in your heart, I have nothing left to hope for. I am completely ruined. I have heard every whispered word. And it is precisely for this reason that today I come to cut off the lie that has clung to you for so many years. I will not allow any form of despair to rule your soul for even one more day, because that soul belongs to me. I will not let the voice of darkness be the final voice in the story of your life. I place a new word, a new decree into your mind. You are loved. You are forgiven. You are rebuilt. Let these words flow into your heart like cool water running through parched ground, so that what has been barren for so long can begin to soften, to breathe again, to long once more for what is good. I do not erase the past by pretending it never existed. I strip it of its power over you by placing over it a greater love, a new meaning, a new beginning. The things that once made you ashamed, if you place them in my hands, will be transformed into marks of grace. The times you fell, if you are willing to hand them over, will become proof that there is no pit so deep that it lies beyond the reach of my arms. You have become so accustomed to feeling alone that often, even when I am very near, you still think you are fighting by yourself. You look around and see that no one seems to truly understand what you are going through. You feel as though your words are lost in a noisy room where nobody hears you. You hide yourself in silence because you think you are too different, too fragile, too confused to share your heart with anyone. But my child, there has never been a moment when I left you, never an instant when your tears fell without my knowing. Each night when you toss and turn, I am there. Every time you force a smile to get through the day while your heart tightens inside, I am there. Every time you want to give up, I am still there, listening to every sigh you do not dare to put into words. You call your loneliness something familiar, but I call it the place where I long to step in and walk with you. You often ask, is God really here? And my answer has never changed. I am always here, whether you feel me or not. My love is not like human affection that rises and falls with the day, warm at times and cold at others, near one moment and distant the next. My love is steady like a rock, solid like the ground beneath your feet, unmoved by the times you stumble, the times you doubt, or the times you are so tired you no longer have the strength to pray. When you are weak, I stand closer still. When you think you are slipping away from me, in reality, I am holding you tighter than before. I long for you to begin trusting in my presence more than in the noise of your emotions. Your emotions rise and fall constantly, but I do not change, and it is in this unchanging nature that you can find your place of rest. From now on, I want you to learn to look again at the conflicts in your life, the tensions, the trials, the days when everything feels upside down, not as proof that I have abandoned you, but as the steps of a staircase leading you to a higher place. Each time you find yourself in the fire, your instinct is to ask, why me? Why is this so hard? And yet you rarely ask, what are you, Lord, trying to shape in me through this? You see events as a burden, but I see them as opportunities to build within you a strength that superficial calm could never produce. Like a metal worker who places gold into the fire not to destroy it but to separate it from its impurities. I allow collisions to come into your life, not to crush you, but to reveal the treasure I have placed within you. There have been crises that forced you to stop and truly look at yourself. Without them, perhaps you would still be running after things that were never meant for you. I do not deny that what you have gone through is hard, nor do I ask you to pretend that it does not hurt. I simply invite you to change your perspective. Do not see yourself as a victim of circumstances. See yourself as someone being personally trained by my own hand. Every time you make it through a battle, you do not go back to who you were before. You become different, deeper, more understanding, gentler, and closer to me. What you call broken is often the very first step in a new arrangement I am building. You often want me to lift you out of the battle right away, but I choose instead to stay with you in that very battle and teach you how to fight. I do not create the attacks that come against you, but I use those very attacks to awaken a new resilience within you. I will not allow these conflicts to define who you are, but I will use the way you respond to them to position you for a new season. And in that new season, you will discover that you are far stronger than you ever imagined. I have decided not to let you return to your former days, when you lived only by instinctive reactions of fear, avoidance, and withdrawal. You have come too far to go back to the starting point as if nothing had ever happened. I do not lead you around in circles for nothing. I lead you step by step with a clear purpose. Every time you want to retreat to the familiar comfort of your old safe zone, I gently but firmly draw you forward. I will not let you drift back into the habits that once imprisoned you, hiding in your room to avoid facing others, keeping silent when you should speak, locking yourself inside, suffocating negative thoughts. I have given you a new life, not so you can put on the old garment again. Do not return to the old way of seeing yourself. I am just a failure. I am just trouble. I only bother people. You are my child, and the name I place upon you is worth more than every label the world, or even you yourself, have ever put on your own life. What I am doing in you is not a temporary repair. It is a recreation. I place in you a heart that knows how to trust, how to hope, how to move forward, and I do not want to see that heart strangled again by old stories. Fix your eyes on me, not on what your physical eyes can see. If you keep staring at your circumstances, you will always find reasons to worry, but if you look to me, you will always find reasons to keep walking. I know your future. I am already standing there before you, and I tell you that what lies ahead is not a solid wall with no way through, but doors that I, myself, will open at the right time. Not every good thing comes immediately, but I do not let anything arrive later than the best time for you. Believe that I am arranging things your eyes have not yet seen, your ears have not yet heard, but your soul can begin to sense through the peace I am planting in you today. That peace does not come from everything suddenly becoming better. It comes from the awareness that whatever happens, you will not have to face it alone. You once sought comfort in hiding, in shrinking back, in cutting off connection with others so you would not have to explain yourself or feel the pain deepen. But I have not called you to live in that kind of false peace. I call you to step out of your shell of isolation, out of those days of curling up only with your sadness and your self-reproach. I invite you into a new life where you dare to open your heart, dare to build healthy relationships, dare to let others see your weakness, and at the same time, dare to let them see the work I am doing in you. You no longer have to live like one who has no shelter, because I have become your shelter. When I am the place where you hide, you can step out into the world without needing to run away anymore. And I promise you that the heavy emotions that once crushed you, the deep sorrow, the paralysis of despair, the sharp ache of loneliness, will no longer be the masters of your soul. They may still knock at your door, but they no longer have the right to stay long. They may whisper in your ear, but my voice will be louder than theirs if you are willing to listen. I give you the ability to stand up even when your heart is still trembling, the ability to smile even when tears still linger at the corners of your eyes, the ability to keep believing even when you do not yet see the full result. You are not losing. You are in the process of being built. I call you a conqueror not because you are always strong, but because I am with you even when you are at your weakest. And as you keep holding my hand, the day will come when you look back and see that the very things that once tried to bury you have become the launching pad that brought you closer to me. Deeper, more mature. This is my intention for you, and I will not abandon the work I have begun in you. You need only not abandon yourself. I will walk with you until the end of the journey. Engrave this in your heart as if it were a new breath, whether you are in the deepest valley or on the dazzling heights of success. I have never taken my eyes off you. Not for a single moment have I forgotten your journey. Circumstances around you may change. People may come and go. Hearts may falter and waver. But my presence beside you does not shake. I know there are days when you wake up with a nameless weight pressing on your chest, worries crowding your mind before you can even call them by name, old memories flooding back until you just want to escape from everything. It is precisely in those seemingly darkest hours that I gently come near and whisper to you, you do not have to go through these days alone. I do not promise you that there will be no storms, but I guarantee you that in every strong wind, my hand will still be holding yours, so that you will not be swept away by what your eyes can see. I am forming you not to become a victim of adversity, but to become someone who dares to lift their head, look into the storm, and still say, my heart still belongs to you. You think you are weak, but the strength I have placed within you is far greater than what you have ever believed about yourself. The mountains that make you tremble are not there to bury you. They are there so that you may witness how I turn each trembling step you take into a testimony of my faithfulness. There will be times when you say, I cannot bear any more. But it is precisely at that seeming limit that I pour new strength into you and draw you through, so that when you look back, you will understand that what kept you standing was not your own willpower, but my grace upholding your life day by day. I want you to learn to govern your emotions instead of being led by them. I am not asking you to become numb, but I am teaching you to stand firm even when there are hidden waves surging inside. The peace I give you is not a brief rush of excitement, but a steady state in the very heart of the storm, where you can breathe deeply and know, I am still on the throne. When you learn to anchor your heart in me, when your thoughts come to rest in what I have spoken, you will find that you are no longer so easily swept away by every change in circumstance. You will come to see that you can cry, you can be weary, you can step back to rest, but you will no longer collapse as you once did, because deep within you know there is one who is holding you from the inside. Allow me to teach you how to be still amid the noise, how to guard your mind from being dragged away by panic, how to stand upright in the dignity of one whom I have called by name. You are not the product of failure, not the result of your mistakes, not the sum of the judgments others have spoken over you. You are the child I have engraved, not on a stone tablet, not in a ledger, but upon my own heart. Whenever you think you have been abandoned, remember that your name is not floating aimlessly in some empty space. Your name has been etched deeply into the place where I keep what is most precious to me. No one and no power can erase what I have engraved. You may forget me in a moment of weakness, but I do not forget you, not even for a single second. I remember even the sighs you yourself do not notice. I count every tear that falls upon your pillow. I see the sentences you dare not speak aloud for fear that no one will understand. I hear it all. I know it all. and I am still here. Do not let the feeling of emptiness deceive you into thinking that my silence means I am far from you. Many times I am silent so that your heart can grow quieter, so that you can recognize that I am standing right beside you, not somewhere distant and unreachable. The promise I have given you is not a promise signed in a moment of fleeting emotion, not a hastily spoken phrase to soothe you for a while and then be forgotten. The promise I have given you has been sealed with the price of blood, with the incomparable sacrifice of my only Son on the cross. Every time you doubt whether there is still hope for your future, look there and remember that I was willing to give what was most precious to win you back. I did not bring you home only to abandon you on the way. I did not draw you out of darkness to push you into a new abyss. What I begin, I will complete. You may not see the whole path ahead, but I do. You may not understand why this thing is happening, why that other thing has not yet changed, but nothing ever takes me by surprise. I have taken the whole story of your life into my greater plan, where everything that seems scattered and disconnected can be woven into a meaningful tapestry when it lies in my hands. In this very moment, as you sit here, reading these words, hearing my whisper in your heart, this is not just another ordinary second passing in your day. This is the moment I chose to draw you closer, to remind you that you are being loved in a way this world cannot give and cannot take away from you. I want you to stop, truly stop. Relax your shoulders, and let my love soak into the deepest places of your soul, the parts you usually hide, the regions of memory you do not dare to touch. I am stretching out my arms to embrace all the broken pieces within you, not to reopen your wounds, but to pour healing oil upon them. You do not need to hide your fragility from me. I am not repulsed by your weakness. I am only grieved when you try to pretend to be strong and do not allow me to step in. When I say that I am always with you, it does not mean I am there only when you read scripture, when you pray, or when you gather with others. I am with you when you are pressed in the middle of the crowded streets, when you sit in silence, staring at the light in a hospital room, when you are left stunned and heavy-hearted after a conversation that weighs you down. I am there in your laughter with friends, in the quiet between you and your loved ones when no one knows what to say, in every heartbeat that races with anxiety. I want you to learn to recognize me in the smallest of things, the gentle sunlight coming through your window in the morning, the glass of water you hold when your throat is parched, an unexpected message from someone checking in on you at the very moment you needed a word of encouragement. These are not random coincidences. They are my way of whispering, I am still here. Every time you cry out to me, whether with words or with a silent sob, I listen with my full attention. To me, no prayer is too small or insignificant. There are things you think, this is too small. I don't dare bother God with it. But I want you to know that I am not bothered when you come to me. What grieves me is when you choose to carry it alone. Let me be Father to you in a complete way, not just as a beautiful spiritual idea, but as the one you truly talk to. Pour out your heart before, question, rely on, and entrust with your deepest secrets. I give you the light of morning not merely so a new day can begin, but as a reminder that no matter how long the night has been, dawn still comes. The gentle breeze that brushes your face is not merely a weather pattern, it is a soft reminder that my breath is still covering your life. My love is not the fragile affection of this world, fervent today and faded tomorrow. It is a warmth from heaven that wraps around you like a garment no winter can pierce. I bring my strength into what seem like your most ordinary steps, turning each stride along the road of pain into a step of transition toward a new future. I do not deny the tears you have shed, but I also will not let those tears be wasted. I use them to soften your heart, to teach you compassion for others, to prepare you to become one who will comfort those who walk behind you on similar paths. You will not forever tread the same worn paths of sorrow if you let me hold your hand and lead you. Little by little, you will look back and see that the very places where you fell were the places where I sowed into your life lessons, depth, and gentle marks that later became a strange source of strength for others. Believe that every path I lead you along, though it may now feel rough and make your feet bleed, will be transformed into a road of prosperity, as I define it, a prosperity not measured only by finances or status, but by maturity, peace, and clarity about your purpose and calling. I am leading you from brokenness to restoration, from confusion to trust, from merely existing to truly living with influence, reflecting my love in this fearful world. Every promise I have spoken over you is not hanging loosely in the air. It is backed by my own authority and faithfulness. So, when your heart trembles, look to me, remember what I have already done, and believe that I did not begin my work in you to abandon it halfway. I will walk with you, day by day, step by step, season by season, and the very fact that you are listening to me right now is already a sign that I am still patiently, gently, and yet powerfully carrying you forward on the journey I have set before you. I see clearly every rough bend in the road you have had to walk, every time you forced yourself to stand up again, every tear you wiped away quickly so no one would notice. There is no pain of yours that I have not witnessed, no loss that I have not recorded in my heart. Your past does not shock me or leave me confused. I know exactly where you stumbled, how you lost your way, and how many times you wanted to give up. I see your present, with all its weariness, tangles, and confusion, and I do not turn my face away from you. I do not look at you as a failed case file, but as a soul in the midst of a journey I am reshaping with my own hands. To others, you may appear to be only an unfinished story, but to me, you are a masterpiece I am still patiently carving, line by line. So today, when I speak to you, it is not to remind you of what you lack, but so that you may know you have never walked alone on that rough and winding road. Even when you feel as though you are stuck between your past and your present, I am still holding you in my hand. There are moments when you think you are only surviving and not truly living. Yet it is I who have been preserving the breath within you so that you do not collapse along the way. You do not exist in this world without meaning. You were born with an intention, a plan, a path that only you can fully walk. You belong to me, not to the labels people have placed on you, not to the verdicts you have spoken over yourself, not to the failures you have already stumbled through. What you have experienced may make you think your future has been stolen, but in my hands nothing is beyond being restored. I do not promise you a road without rough places, but I do guarantee you this: if you lean on my word, your feet will not slip from the path I have set before you. Do not let the memories of the past and the tangled emotions of the present pull you out of my arms any longer. My child, I know there have been days when memories rushed in like a storm, making your heart ache as if it all had happened only yesterday. I know there have been nights when you lay still with a heavy heart, asking why you have become the way you are, why things did not unfold according to what you once dreamed. It is precisely in those moments that the enemy often whispers in your ear, God doesn't care about you anymore. But you must learn to discern clearly, that is not my voice. My voice never pushes you away. My voice always calls you nearer. Painful emotions may come in waves, but I am the solid rock on which you can lean whenever you feel you are about to be swept away. If you keep letting those old voices lead you, you will remain standing outside of what I am preparing. But if you decide to believe my word over you, you will begin to see the first steps of renewal taking shape. Today I am deliberately turning my eyes and my word toward you, so that you may know you are not forgotten in the midst of the crowd. This is not a vague, general message. This is my word specifically for you, the one who is tired yet still trying. The one who feels invisible, yet is deeply precious in my sight. I do not merely want to comfort you with a few gentle phrases and then leave you to return to the same old cycle. I want you to know that my presence near you is real, living, and powerful enough to change the atmosphere in the very room where you sit, in the very mind that feels so restless. The words I have spoken, I do not forget, I do not promise, and then leave things unfinished. Each of my promises is like a road that leads you out of panic and into a place where your soul can rest, where you no longer have to stumble with every step, but can breathe deeply and know that you are safe. I want to lead you into a life of peace, not because every circumstance is favorable, but because you know you are in the hands of the one who holds all things under control. Let the doubts that have been eroding your faith all this time begin to be laid down, little by little. I do not blame you for having doubted. I know the wounds in your life have made it hard for you to fully trust anyone, including me. But my child, I am not like those who broke you. I do not make empty promises. I do not abandon you when you are weak, and I do not turn my back when you fail. Every time you doubt, I am still there, waiting for you to come back with your honest questions, waiting for you to speak out the things you dare not say to anyone. I am not afraid of your weakness. I only grieve when you hide it and carry it alone until you are exhausted. Let that doubt be replaced by a small decision. I will try to trust God once more, not by feeling, but by choice. It is precisely such small, seemingly insignificant decisions that open the door to greater things in your soul. Fear and anxiety have become unhealthy companions to you for a long time. They whisper to you from morning until night, you'll just fail again. Everything will collapse eventually. There is nothing truly good reserved for you. These phrases are like invisible cords tying your hands and feet, keeping you from stepping forward even when you want to, keeping you from believing even when you long to believe. But today, I have not come to scold you for being afraid. I have come to cut those cords. I do not want worry to keep blocking the things I long to give you. I am quietly transforming not only what is outside your work, your relationships, your circumstances, but also what is inside the way you think, the way you respond, the way you see yourself. I want to reorder your family, to heal the fractures you thought could never be mended. I want to rewrite the story of your future in lines of hope. I want to touch your character, refining the sharp edges that hurt you and hurt others, the dreams you thought had died, the plans you folded away and hid. I am breathing life into them again so that you may know I still have work to do through your life. What I ask from you is not a flawless plan, but a trusting heart willing to surrender. To trust me does not mean you sit still and do nothing. To trust me means you let me go before you and you follow, even when you cannot yet see the whole road ahead. You have lived too long in a posture of having to protect yourself, provide for yourself, and fight through every storm on your own. Now I invite you to change positions. Let me be the one who leads, and you be the child who knows how to place your hand in your Father's hand. When you allow me to guide you, I will show you ways you never noticed before. It might be a conversation you need the courage to start, a relationship you need to be willing to close, a small action you need to take to show love to someone. The paths I lead you on may not match the original plans you sketched out, but they will always lead you to what is better for your soul, even if at first you do not understand. Come to me, not as a criminal being interrogated, but as a child running home after a long and weary day. I do not stand before you with a condemning gaze. I open wide my arms. You do not need to be put together. You do not need polished words. You do not need to pretend to be strong. Come to me while you are still trembling, still confused, still full of questions with no answers. I value honesty more than any beautiful outward form. When you dare to draw near to me with a bare and vulnerable heart, I will warm it with my very presence, so that you may feel that you still have a place where you belong, a place where your past is not denied but healed, where your future is not magnified by fear but reordered by love. I do not want to watch you continue dragging your feet under the weight on your shoulders. Some burdens you have carried for so long that you think they are part of who you are. But in reality, they are backpacks that someone else, or even you, loaded onto you years ago. Guilt, shame, the judgments others have spoken, expectations you never seem able to meet, all of these are like rocks in that backpack. I want to remove them from your shoulders. One by one, I want to wash away the destructive thoughts that keep repeating in your mind. I am useless. I am unworthy. I ruin everything. Those voices do not come from me, and I want to replace them with another sound. You are my child. You are loved. You have worth. You are still usable. When these words begin to sink into your heart, you will feel as though someone is gently wiping away the dust that has clung to your soul for so long. You have grown used to managing, fixing, and bracing yourself alone to the point that you have forgotten you were never created to fight by yourself. I did not call you to be a lone warrior on the spiritual battlefield. I called you to be a warrior marching in my army under my command. I know you have often whispered, "No one understands me. No one is really on my side." Yet I have always been there, whether you noticed me or not. I want you to stop straining as if you had to prove your worth to the world. I want you to learn how to rest your head on my shoulder, to tell me things you cannot tell anyone else, to weep the tears you have held back for far too long. I do not despise your tears. I gather them like something precious. And while you think you are becoming weaker when you cry, in reality I am softening the parts of you that have grown hardened from having to be strong for too long. Let your soul be immersed in the gentle river of my spirit, not a river of passing emotions that make you tremble for a moment and then leave you empty again, but a river of life that gradually renews your inner being. I want you to learn how to rest, not in resignation, but in the confidence that I am still at work even when you see nothing moving. When you take your hands off your efforts to control everything, you will begin to notice the small traces I leave in the details of your life. A small door unexpectedly opening, a friend appearing at just the right time, a word of encouragement arriving when you think you cannot bear anymore. This is how I remind you that I have not given up on you. And when you allow me to take your tired hand, you will find that you no longer have to drag yourself along, but are gently led. Therefore, my child, do not keep clenching your hands so tightly. You have gripped everything for so long: fear, control, old wounds, the plans you refuse to release. Open your hands and place them into mine. Give me permission to touch the corners you still hide, the burdens you are afraid to face. I am not in a hurry. I will walk with you one step at a time. But I need one thing: your willingness to let me lead. When you place your hand in mine, it is not just a symbolic gesture. It is the starting point of a new journey where you no longer live as someone who almost wastes the moment of my visitation, but become one who knows how to seize each opportunity I bring, so that your life may gradually be rewritten according to my good, beautiful, and perfect will. In this moment, I choose to quiet all the noise within my heart, to throw wide open the door of my soul, and to bring everything that is deepest inside me before you in my sincere prayer. O Almighty God, beloved Father of my soul, today I come before you with both the things I understand and the countless things I still do not understand about my life. There are stretches of road I have walked that were full of darkness and disappointment, causing me many times to think that my future had been closed off. But through your word I recognize that you have never let go of my hand. not even for a single moment. Please forgive me for the times I have looked at everything with fearful eyes and hastily concluded that my life would only be a series of repeated days. Instead of believing that, you are quietly preparing new chapters for me. Please renew the way I view trials, so that I no longer see them as curses, but as instruments you use to transform me into your likeness more and more. Teach me to pause in the midst of confusion so that I may remember that you are the one who holds the whole picture in your hand. And my part is to keep walking, keep trusting, and keep holding on to your hand in each seemingly small day. Merciful Father in heaven, I confess that I have often lived in regret, afraid that I have missed all my chances, that it is too late to change, too late to live a meaningful life in you. But through your word I am reminded that as long as I still breathe, the story you are writing for me is still continuing, and no power, no word spoken by anyone can erase what you have ordained for my life. Please help me to lay down the obsessions of my past, the times I stumbled, the relationships that broke, the unwise decisions that caused me pain, not so that I may forget everything, but so that I may stop punishing myself and begin to learn from them in your grace. Lord, heal the places in my heart that have shut down for fear of being hurt again, so that I can open myself to receive the new things you desire to bring in. Teach me to believe that what truly belongs to me in your will not slip away if I continue to cling to you and walk in obedience. O God, who holds time and destiny in your hand, I thank you that I do not have to wander in uncertainty to find meaning for my life. You have shown me that my path is not a random collection of events, but part of your eternal plan. I thank you for the privilege of partnering with you, so that every time I choose to trust, to obey, to rise again, it has value in your sight. I thank you for the days that seem ordinary, with no spectacular miracles, yet are the very days when you quietly build in me a steadfast faith, a deep heart, and an enduring love. Please do not let me despise any day you give, but help me to know that every day lived in you is never meaningless. Lord, finally, I want to lift up to you my gratitude for your unchanging love. Even though my heart is sometimes hot, sometimes cold, sometimes near, sometimes far, I thank you that you do not measure your love by how many times I do right or wrong, but by the cross itself, where you descended to embrace me in unconditional love. I thank you that in the midst of accusing voices, doubting voices, comparing voices, there is still a gentle yet steadfast voice that says to me, I am still here. I have not left you. I still have hope for your future. Please help me never to forget that voice, so that in every circumstance I may lift my eyes and whisper, thank you, Lord, because you are still holding my life in your hand. I offer this prayer in the holy name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Do not forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, so that together we can build a strong and growing community of faith.